Okay, so left off talking about the notes section. Now I'm going to get into these last three tabs down here. So first thing is the top 50 player rankings. Now that is our custom algorithm. Like, this is strictly something that we created, and it's a way to measure production. It is like, it's more geared towards fantasy as opposed to just like general statistics. This is something that I sort of handcrafted, but this is good for, if you're trying to figure out which stud you want to use, or you're stuck in between mid-level guys, you want to go through here. This is a way to see how they compare on a scale here. So like these numbers, like these scores, 22.39, 22.29, between Gortat and Wiggins. Like, Wiggins barely edges out Gortat on fantasy production. That's basically what that tells you. Same thing for all the players. So you can see here, Russell Westbrook is pretty much killing the game right now. James Harden, Anthony Davis, these three guys are like the top three studs in the NBA right now. Now, of course, they have their ups and downs. They're humans. But this is just a general statistic. Now, that's what you can use that for. So your top 50 is for your studs and your mid-level guys. Let's go over to the team rankings. Now, this here can be really helpful. So let me kind of explain what's going on here. I know this looks like a lot of data, a lot of colors, a lot of stuff going on. So let's start with just the basics here. So you got each team listed here. It shows each team's points per game, opponent's points per game, the differential between those two, the rebounds, opponent's rebounds, differential. It shows the team's assists per game, steals per game, blocks per game, and then it has our custom score, which this is another like custom scoring system that I created to measure fantasy production. So obviously, the higher that number, the better it is to target that team for fantasy point value. So for example, you got all the colors here. So you got your green. So like, let's say here you get your points per game. The green means that they score a lot of points per game, which is one thing you're definitely looking for when you're looking for teams to target on the slate. You want teams that are scoring points, because more points equals more fantasy points. Now, on the opponent side, it's the opposite. So it's red right here for Golden State, because they allow 108.2 points per game. That's bad. You don't want teams to allow that many points per game. So, but in the sense of fantasy production, this is, seeing green here and red here. To me, that's telling you, okay, well, maybe it's good to target this game, both teams, because if they're letting the other team score that much and they're already scoring this much, that's probably going to be a lot of fantasy points happening. So it's a matter of helping you look at the slate from a kind of like a top-down perspective, so you can see what the teams are doing, what their opponents are doing, and then being able to find certain little matchups in here that will help you. So, of course, like I said, green, good, yellow, average, red is bad. But when you're looking at the opponent tab, red can be considered good, depending on how you're looking at it. But it's the opposite from the other tab. And then we have our score over here, which, like I said earlier, higher the better. So right now, Dallas is pretty much the worst team in the league as far as providing fantasy value. Like, they might have one or two players that can get you some good scores, but consistently, most of their players are average to less than average as far as fantasy points. You go on up the list here. This is a good way to kind of look at teams to target and games to target, along with the Vegas information. I like to use those two together a lot. So you look at the Vegas information, you say, okay, this is going to be projected to be the highest scoring game. Well, let's see what these teams are doing over here. So you can go here. Let's see, who was it? Houston was one of the teams. So you can look at Houston. You see points. It's a good matchup. Rebounds. They don't actually allow that many rebounds, but that's a good example of how this works. So if you guys have any questions, always hit us up in the Facebook room. Be happy to help you out.